This is our Chapter 10, Lecture 3, and in this lecture we'll talk about Mongolia, North and South Korea, and Taiwan. We'll start with Mongolia. This map is on page 479 of your text and shows the landlocked nation of Mongolia, landlocked between China and Russia. On this map, interesting things show the main roadways and railways coincide coming from China and into Russia. There are a number of other major highways throughout mostly the northern part of the country. The southern part is desert and relatively remote and uninhabited. The inhabited sections of the south include the coal mine and copper mine regions in the south, in the Gobi Desert. Ulaanbaatar is the capital and also has probably the largest population and most industry in the region. The next map here, this one is not in your text, but this is the Mongolia Mineral Resources and Mining map I found on the internet, and here we see deposits of strategic importance in terms of minerals. Mongolia has recently begun improving its level of development as mining has been expanded in the beginning of this century. We see regions of additional coal in the south and also just east of the capital. We see a relatively significant uranium mining region in the northeast that has been important in terms of trade of this natural resource to both China and Russia. We see silver mining in the far northwest. There is some gold mining here in the north central region. Iron is plentiful. Copper also is available. Molybdenum and zinc round out some of the most important mineral resources that have begun to be exploited by the Mongolian government in cooperation with corporations from other countries such as China and Russia. Much of the resources, much of the wealth from these mines, however, is in the hands of the countries that provide foreign direct investment, mainly China and Russia, but also South Korea. And so the Mongolian people don't necessarily benefit from government spending on infrastructure or human resources as they might if Mongolia controlled the mining more directly. Mongolia is physically isolated and landlocked. It's about 3 times the size of California, historically known as the home of the pastoral nomadic empires such as those controlled by Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan. Stagnant economy until the 2000s, where mineral resources have been opened up for development. Major trade partners are China, Russia, South Korea, and Japan. Mining includes coal, copper, molybdenum, tin, tungsten, and gold. Agriculture includes wheat, barley, vegetables, and forage crops for sheep, goat, cattle, camels, and horses. Horses are still a common form of transportation in many parts of Mongolia today. Remittances from Mongolians working abroad are significant in terms of the gross domestic product. Many Mongolians go to South Korea for employment. Mongolia's mining economy is a major source of its foreign revenues that are subject to corruption that will limit the needed development benefits for the people. These resources are being developed by foreign countries, which will likely profit disproportionately from their exploitation. Future problems, in addition to the disposition of revenues, will include environmental degradation caused by the mining, especially the effects on the groundwater supplies in this arid region. Mining processes often entail the use of large amounts of water, and of course this water is also important for the population for small amounts of agriculture as well as human needs. Next, we'll talk about the two Koreas, North Korea and South Korea. Significantly different countries on a shared peninsula. South Korea is much more of a globalized economy, very well-developed region of the peninsula with large areas of rice producing, agriculture and local truck farming as well around the urban areas. Seoul has industrial areas, and there are a couple of industrial areas also on the south end of the peninsula for trade with their global partners, including China, Japan, and many other parts of the world. We see very well-developed transportation system with high-speed trains and numerous major highways between the most important industrial regions. North Korea, on the other hand, has very low level of development, only a small amount of rice agriculture, although the northeastern industrial region looks vast. It's really very minor and spread out. The same can be said for the industrial region to the east. However, there's a small region of industrial development on the demilitarized zone, or the DMZ, that is shared in investments between the two Koreas in one of the few places where cooperation between the two countries has been successful. The demilitarized zone is the zone that separates North Korea and South Korea, and it was the zone of contention during the Korean War of the 1950s. So, two Koreas, politically divided. North Korea is insular and insulated from the rest of the world. Its society and economic interests are all insular and insulated. It's uninterested in the outside world and has a communist system of government. South Korea, on the other hand, economic development through foreign relations has been highly successful, and it has a democratic system of government. This this image down below is a nighttime satellite view of lights, and we see very clearly the demilitarized zone here. We see much more electricity use in South Korea, as it is much more developed in terms of infrastructure. North Korea, this dark region, with the exception of the capital here and a few minor places, show very little light and have very low energy resources. And then we move into China, where we're back into a more developed region with more energy resources. North Korea has chosen to follow a rigidly state-controlled socialist economic philosophy, which has afflicted its people with frequent famines and desperately poor quality of life. It spends much of its limited resources on military, and its communist government suppresses its people. South Korea, on the other hand, has embraced a market-oriented development philosophy that has made it a leader in global export-oriented manufacturing and the service economy. Consequently, its people enjoy a generally prosperous, high quality of life in a peaceful democracy. Taiwan. Taiwan here is the nationalist government side of China. We see most of the development on the west coast, with the north and the south both having strong regions of industry. It's a successful globalized economy. It's mountainous more as we move to the east, with lower levels of population. Very strong transportation corridors, high-speed rail lines, and major highways between the northern and the southern industrial zones. Chinese nationalists fled to the island after 1949, when the communists took over mainland China. The People's Republic of China, mainland China, still considers Taiwan to be a province. It's not recognized around the world as a separate country, and there are always noises of independence declaration. Industry includes electronics, communications, and information technology products, petroleum refining, chemicals, textiles, iron and steel, machinery, cement, food processing, vehicles, consumer products, and pharmaceuticals. Since China's economic reforms of the late 1970s, Taiwan has increasingly provided foreign direct investment to China. These investments include not only financial resources, but also human capital in the form of technical and management expertise in China's export-oriented manufacturing enterprises. In the future, as Taiwan has been relaxing its stance as an independent country, the economy and cultural ties between the two countries are likely to accelerate. And in fact, on November 4th, 2015, Taiwan and China signaled that they are going to hold an historic summit in Singapore, where the two current presidents of the country, who have never had a meeting before, will meet to discuss the situation between the two regions. Both said the talks would focus on relations across the Taiwan Straits between the two countries. China still claims sovereignty over Taiwan and views the island as a breakaway province, which will one day be reunited with the mainland. But ties have improved since 2008. The Chinese government often has threatened to use military force against Taiwan if it ever attempts to gain outright independence. Taiwan has noted that the aim of the meeting is to promote peace across the Taiwan Strait and to maintain the status quo. That's it for our Chapter 10, Lecture 3, and we'll continue with our Chapter 10 lectures in our next couple of lectures. Thanks.